Hello, today I will be exploring One Piece, the extremely popular anime and manga created by Ichiro Oda, and how it demonstrates medieval themes and aesthetics throughout its story, character, and more specifically, how it handles the concept of historiography, power structures, and relations to modern themes that ties into its medieval setting. I'll be showing how One Piece reflects upon aspects of feudal structures and, most importantly, the control of historical knowledge, which is often overlooked by outsiders when observing One Piece, but is a very important overall plot point. For those unfamiliar with the widely popular and growing story, One Piece follows the character of Monkey D. Luffy, a young pirate captain, and his crew of diverse characters, and the ultimate goal of finding the legendary One Piece, which is this treasure that they're all trying to seek out, along with the other pirates within the show and manga. Alright, so in the One Piece world, it is predominantly ocean, and most of the world is covered in water and is made up of smaller islands, empires, and filled with fantastical creatures, powerful warlords and pirates, and an overarching authoritative government that controls the vast amount of the world. So they are known as the world government, appropriately titled. They sort of oversee the majority of the entire globe, while most of the world is either controlled by lesser monarchs or pirates, or simply just sort of on their own. Majority of islands within this are kind of like normal islands that pay tribute to the world government, which is going to be a bit talked about more later in the video. The setting of One Piece is within a fantasy world with wacky supernatural abilities. One Piece draws heavily from outside sources around the world, and medieval imagery is a huge factor. Obviously, it takes place during a golden age of piracy within its own world, and it takes heavily upon the golden age of piracy within the real world, sort of between the mid 1600s to the mid 1700s. That sort of era is sort of when this would probably take place, but it's very varied within when and where it's set place, because each island sort of takes a different theme. So one island might be ancient Egypt, another island might be feudal Japan, and another might be sort of like Renaissance Florence, Italy. And recently we've had a full-on future island that is basically set within a futuristic sci-fi sort of island. So the time zones within One Piece are varied. I think that one of the more consistent themes within them is probably just the fact that a majority of the seemingly normal islands within the story are fairly representative of a sort of late medieval period where most people don't have electricity, they don't have access to advanced sort of gadgets or any sort of things that would make their lives more so look like our modern lives. And they're more so living sort of like in a medieval pre-electric world. Many of these islands within the world of One Piece showcase kingdom-based structures. So we have islands like Alabasta, which is the sort of ancient Egypt island that I spoke of earlier. Dressrosa, which is the Florence, Italy, during the Renaissance sort of. It's a mixture between, I'd say, the Renaissance and medieval times, because the town is more so Renaissance Italy and Renaissance Florence, Italy specifically, rather than like the sort of overarching castle within the island is very just medieval. It's just a giant medieval castle. And then Wano is literally just feudal Japan, down to the architecture, the feudal structure of sort of different class systems within its island, there being a shogun, and different working classes, and even like a sort of untouchables class where nobody talks about them, nobody even pays attention to them. Those are all prevalent within these different societies within One Piece, and they are all sort of change depending on what island they are in and what sort of theme or traits that the island exhibits, but a lot of them are based off of real historical accounts of different sort of eras within different countries, like I said, Japan or Italy or Egypt even. And one of the biggest things that is sort of demonstrated throughout is the use of feudalism in One Piece. And feudalism is a huge theme sort of within the whole world of One Piece, not just within these government systems that are put forth in these like monarchies within Wano, Alabasta, and Dressrosa, where there is an overarching monarch. These rulers are seen as kind of being just outright cruel and not nice at all to the peasantry. They rule basically because they think they are the strongest, or they think they are given the divine right, which is sort of a parallel between actual monarchs in later medieval periods versus the more overarching sort of ruler of the world, which is known as the world government. They are sort of more akin to something like the British Empire, which makes sense because One Piece is, of course, a pirate show. Directly takes inspiration from the golden age of piracy, which was during the British Empire. Islands have to pay the world government, and then they are subjects of the world government and gain the benefits of basically being able to be protected by their mass military, which is the Marines. The world government actively erases knowledge of the past to shape the present. Examples being that there is a period of time before and after they came to power, which is known as the Void Century. They purposely sort of erase massive gaps of world history, just so that they put themselves in a position of looking like a benevolent ruler that didn't commit nefarious or horrific acts such as mass genocide or ethnic cleansing or just outright brainwashing with propaganda, and control all public knowledge of basically the entire peasantry within the One Piece world. A huge example within One Piece is the destruction of an island called O'Hara. This was an island of peaceful historians and archaeologists that were basically working together to uncover the truth of the previously mentioned Void Century before they could, of course, do this and then publicate some sort of document and send it around and be like, this is what is actually happening. The world government found out easily and immediately destroyed and bombed the entire island, killing everybody except one person, which is a part of like the main cast. And once again, this sort of theme of governing knowledge, censoring knowledge, is directly related to stuff like the church, who might outright burn, destroy, control how people perceive knowledge, which is also just like a thing that could be prevalent within our own modern societies. Our reality and our society is directly related to not just One Piece, but the Middle Ages and how we can question those types of things. That sort of just goes into the sort of thesis of this video, I guess, in that in the end, One Piece asks a very crucial question, and that is who controls history and who challenges the control, and the importance of being able to have that option of challenging the control of who basically is able to control the past and who is able to propagate certain perspectives within the past to shape their own motives. But yeah, hopefully this enlightened whoever's listening to this a bit, and yeah.